Hello biology students, this is Dr. Salah in Lab 9, the nervous tissue. The nervous system has two main subdivisions. The central nervous system formed of the brain and the spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system, which is formed of 12 pairs of cranial nerves arising from the brain, 31 pairs of spinal nerves arising from the spinal cord, ganglia, which are swelling network of nervous tissue, enteric plexus in small intestine, and this is network of nervous tissue present between the walls throughout the GI tract, the gastrointestinal tract, and sensory receptors in the skin. And these are specific structures which can sense, detect any changes in the external environment, like receptors for touch, for pain, pressure, vibration, temperature. The CNS is connected to sensory receptors, muscles, and glands in the peripheral part of the body through the peripheral nervous system. The peripheral nervous system, which transmits information to and from the CNS, has two subdivisions: somatic nervous system, which controls skeletal muscles, and autonomic nervous system, which regulates glands, blood vessels, and internal organs. We do not have any control over the autonomic nervous system. This system is also divided into two subdivisions: sympathetic nervous system, which mobilizes the body for action, all high energy output exercises, and the parasympathetic nervous system, or as we refer to it as rest and digest. It gives our body a break to make it ready for next high energy output actions. This is our first slide today, a spinal cord multipolar neuron. So the motor neuron is formed of three parts: cell body, this is the cell body, the dendrites, nucleus inside the cell body, and the axon. Around the neuron, we can see these purplish dots, which are the supporting neuroglial cells. Neuroglia in the central nervous system include four types: astrocytes, oligodendrocytes, microglia, and ependymal cells. The glial cells outnumber neurons 9-to-1 in the brain. They cannot transmit electrical signal, but their function is to provide support and nutrition for the neurons. Let's take a hint about the action of each neuroglial cell in the CNS. Astrocytes, astro means star-shaped cells because they look like a star, and they wrap around capillaries and neurons to form the blood-brain barrier. So whenever we think of astrocytes, remember blood-brain barrier. This is a barrier between the blood and the brain that allow the diffusion of nutrients and waste and stop the diffusion of other substances. Oligodendrocytes, oligo means few, dendro means dendrites, and cyte means cell. So it means the cell with few dendrites. Its function is to myelinate the axon within the central nervous system. Microglia means the small cells. They are phagocytic. They eat, they attack foreign material and remove it. So they take the place of white blood cells. Ependymal cells produce the CSF, cerebrospinal fluid. They line the cavities within the brain and also the central canal. This is a motor neuron. It's formed of a cell body. Inside the cell body, there is the nucleus, neurofibril, which form the cytoskeleton, and many other organelles. Dendrites are short tree-like branches attached to the cell body. Then we have the axon. The axon hillock is the part in which the axon attaches to the cell body. Initial segment is the first part of the axon. The axon is covered by myelin sheath. We can see these layers of Schwann cell forming the myelin sheath. Whatever left of the Schwann cell after it wraps around the axon plus the nucleus of Schwann cell form what's called the neurolemma. The cytoplasm of the axon is called the axoplasm, and the membrane covering the axon is called axolemma. Some areas of the axon are not covered with myelin sheath, and these are called the nodes of Ranvier. These knots not covered by myelin sheath. At the end of the axon, it will form axon terminals, which may swell at their ends, forming the synaptic end bulb. This is a model we have for the motor neuron. We can see the cell body. This is the cell body, the nucleus, and it has a nucleolus inside. These bluish spots are the Nissl bodies which synthesize protein. These are the dendrites. The axon hillock, which attaches the axon to the cell body, and this is the axon. These black filaments are the neurofibrils which form the cytoskeleton. This shows the synapse between a neuron and the other neuron. So this is an axon terminal, and we can see here synaptic end bulb and the mitochondria inside. This is the axon of the motor neuron. We can see the axon covered with myelin sheath, layers in yellow, formed by wrapping of Schwann cell around the axon. The areas uncovered with myelin sheath are called the node of Ranvier. These are the gaps between adjacent Schwann cells. The axolemma is the membrane covering the axon. Inside the axon, we can see mitochondria to provide energy, neurofibrils, which form cytoskeleton. After wrapping around the axon, the nucleus and the rest of the cytoplasm of Schwann cell, we can see the nucleus here, will form the neurolemma. Outside the axolemma and the myelin sheath, the axon will be covered by endoneurium. In this slide, we can see the layers covering the axon in order. So this is a cut section through the axon. It's covered then by axolemma, then myelin sheath, then neurolemma, and from outside is the endoneurium. Neurons can be classified according to their structure, and this is based on the number of processes extending from the cell body, not all the processes that you can see in the image itself. Multipolar neuron, because we have many extensions, processes arising directly from the cell body. Bipolar means two. We have only two processes arising from the cell body. Unipolar, because we have only one, this small short process arising from the cell body. or they can be classified according to the histologist who first described them, like Purkinje cell located in the cerebellum, or according to their shape, like pyramidal cell located in the cerebral cortex, because it's triangular in shape, looks like a pyramid. This slide shows the pyramidal cells. As we said, they look like pyramids, triangular in shape. They are multipolar neurons, and their function is to give conscious control of muscle movements. They are located in the cerebral cortex. In this slide, we can see the Purkinje cells, which are located in the cerebellum, and they are also multipolar neuron, and their function is to relay information about body position or proprioception to the cerebrum.